Welcome back to Dungeons and Designers. This is our third in the series of character building, and today we're here with Dan Churn, my brother.
What's up?
So we've gone through Courtney and Zach's characters, and today, or up until this point, we have done no magic, and I believe you're going to change that.
Yeah.
So, like the last episodes, I'm going to bring up a character sheet that you won't be able to see, but we'll talk through it. The people watching on YouTube will see that we're now using our new character sheet that we've sent some pictures, shown some pictures on Instagram. It's our neon campaign 2 character sheet, all branded for Dungeons and Designers. We're on that tier now. But Dan, let's start talking about what race you're going to be. I think that is a great spot. Your name kind of will be based off of that. Your classes will come off of that. So what are you thinking for your race?
I'm going to be a half-elf. Okay. Shake it up.
And when you say half-elf, are you talking high elf, wood elf?
No, I'm going to go drow.
The dark bad boys.
Yeah, a little moody, Yeah,
no, I dig it. Every campaign needs a little Drist.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
We're going to get a little half Drist.
Just light.
So let's jump straight over from half drow. We're going to keep this moving. What character name did you think you were going to land on? Have you thought about that?
Yeah, I'm named him. Elisar.
Okay, 1 sec. Sorry. How do you E?
Yeah. LL.
Okay.
ISAR.
Okay, cool. And so we have Elisar the Half Drow, which I think out of campaign 1 and 2 might be the most like fantasy name we've had. Which I'm here for it.
Well, Azhag was fantasy, but for Warhammer goblins.
Okay, so we've got your Elisar the Half Drow. What class do you think you're going to be playing?
Playing a sorcerer.
Okay, cool. Like we said, you're the first magic user. So I think before we even get into all the nitty-gritty numbers, let's just talk through the implications that having a sorcerer in this campaign brings. So because we've talked about it a lot, magic is a weird system here because the weave is weakened down, and it's really hard to connect to the weave and pull that arcane power. So let me read off just a little bit about this, and then we can talk about how it will impact you.
Sweet.
So magic's instability and the weakened connection to the weave causes many unexpected results. When attempting to cast a spell, these instances are often dangerous and therefore have created outcasts out of all who try to use it. So because you're a magic user on this space station that is a thin piece of metal from the void of space, this inability to control your magic makes you kind of a threat to the safety. Now, there are many caveats, and because we're kind of alpha testing this as we play, if we find that it's not fun or underpowered or too cruel, we'll change it as we do it. But so here's one of the caveats. To utilize the weakened weave connection, you will need to concentrate, adding 5 minutes to the cast time before you cast a spell and ensure a strong connection to the weave. So let's say you're not in combat and you've got time. This is very similar to, can't remember what they call it when you can cast a spell without your spell slot. Oh well. But if you add 5 minutes to your cast time, you can instantly gain access to the weave. So you can ensure, so if you're chilled out, you can spend time, make sure your connection is strong, and then cast your spell. Every time you cast the spell without making that connection, you risk the weave acting unpredictably and breaking. You're going to roll an extra d20 outside of your normal d20s for each level of the spell. So if you cast a level 3 spell, you're going to roll 3 d20s. If any of the dice roll a 20, I roll a d100 to cause an additional effect to the spell you're casting. So I've got this chart that's going to be a ton of different options that could happen. So if you cast a spell, you roll a 20 on your dice, there will be a rift or something occurring between where you cast your spell and like your target. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah, I think so.
So yeah, but like if let's say you're casting a cantrip, which I don't remember what sorcery cantrips are because it's been a while. But let's say you cast one of those that doesn't roll any d20s. You just automatically get those successes, or you don't have to,
right, because there's no level of the spell.
Right, and and the pull on the weave in the way we're telling the story is that pull is minor. But once you start doing like Fireball, which is a very high level spell, that's going to be like you're going to be really pulling unless you can spend 5 minutes and like meditate on that and figure out how to spell. So if you're up in like a tower or something and you're concentrating for 5 minutes, you could cast that first Fireball into battle without the risk.
So you concentrate and you only get one cast?
Mm-hmm. So, and if you're in battle, 5 minutes is a ton of turns.
So really, you at most get one that doesn't pull the risk.
If in combat. But if you're doing like just more like utilitarian, like story, like you're just in town.
Yeah.
You can cast all those like with just like 5 minutes in concentration.
Interesting.
But for combat, if you sneak up, you can get one. And then the rest would be at the risk of rolling the d20s. Which even with like a level 3, you're talking about 3 dice that have a 5% chance. So it's not going to happen a lot, hopefully. The way I rolled,
a 5% chance?
It
was 1 out of 20. Oh, okay.
And the way I roll dice, I never roll 20s. So and if we're talking about
always roll 20s.
You roll 20s a lot. But if we're talking about even like how many spells you get per long rest, the most I think you're going to be casting is like 5 or 6 spells around usually.
Yeah.
So this shouldn't happen daily. It should be a nice little interesting effect that happens unexpectedly. But I think the biggest thing that is implicated here is this idea that because you're a magic user, you're either completely hiding it from everyone around you, or you're in hiding. And if I'm going to make like some media connections here, I would kind of think about this like how the X-Men either had to choose to hide their powers or go into hiding or go to school, right, where they can learn it and kind of be safe. Or
some Wolverine then. That's cool.
Wolverine or Sabretooth with the Brotherhood side. Or we could say that this is very much like Avatar: The Last Airbender, where Aang has these powers that he can use, right? But if he's seen by certain people who are against him, like that's bad. Like he should hide it. So you could use magic totally fine in front of some people. And we're going to talk about that because I believe it will come into your backstory a little bit. But if you're in front of like the Covenant, the police of the Lathander's Ring, that will have dire consequences because that's like the number one rule is not to use magic on the station.
Unless I kill them all.
Unless you can somehow, kill everybody, which D&D, right? That's a possibility. Probably not at level 1, but that's an option you could try. And then episode 2, you'll have a new character. All right. So we're going to skip alignment, or I'm just going to fill it in chaotic neutral. I want you to feel like you can make changes and reactions to things around you without being locked into this mindset of I need to be good, I need to be evil. But the next thing that I've got on this character sheet at least is background. So this is kind of to define who you are on the space station. Did you have a background you were kind of thinking?
Yeah, I was looking at the criminal background, like the spy variant.
Cool. So let's like read a little bit about that. So you're experienced criminal with a history of breaking the law. You spend a lot of time among other criminals and still have contacts within the criminal underworld. Could very much fit into like this magic user. Who are you able to hang around with that they don't care that you can use magic? And then the spy is, although your capabilities are not much different from those of burglar or smuggler, you learned and practiced them in a very different context as an espionage agent. You may have been an officially sanctioned agent of the crown, or perhaps you sold the secrets you uncovered to the highest bidder. So we're going to talk about that soon. I guess we can talk about that now. Like, who do you think you would have been a spy for or spied with? What kind of situations might you have been spying on type of deal?
I think, I take it more from a stance of because he's like a magic user, and he's always like everything's in secret. So spy is always like hiding who their true identity is, and kind of like being secretive with everything. And so I think like he may not have been, because it's still a level 1 character, so he's pretty like, his background. He's also young. He's only 22.
Okay.
But would be like more set in a sense of like he leans towards being kind of spy because of the way that he's had to train himself by hiding all the time, because he's not really accepted.
Yeah, he's an outcast for sure, and kind of wanted if he gets seen. So while you were explaining that, I went and found that the skill proficiencies you get for that are deception and stealth. So I've added those to your character sheet. You get a tool proficiency with either a gaming set or thieves tools. Where do you?
Yes, I took the thieves tools, and then I would have to find it for you, but there's a spy variant in the Explorer's Guide to Wildemount book, where you can take acrobatics instead of deception.
Okay, is that what you wanted?
So I was taking stealth and acrobatics.
Okay. Okay. So that's kind of like the core of your character. You're a level 1 sorcerer, half drow, LSR. Before we get into like the nitty gritty numbers, which I probably already said once this episode, need to mix that up. Let's talk about things that are more about kind of role playing and who your character is. And like what are your goals and drives? So we know right off the bat, because you chose a sorcerer, one of your goals is to keep hidden or keep your abilities hidden.
Yeah, I think a lot of his choices and drive come out of like frustration of like, he likes the power that he gets from being a sorcerer and being able to have those connection with the weave, and he's frustrated that like that's not okay in this life or whatever. So I think a lot of his decisions and drive comes from that.
Cool. And I would say maybe that would be a flaw too, right? Is like this frustration and anger that you can't just use your magic openly.
Yeah.
And maybe that does come out can't use magic. Maybe that comes out in ways you act with people or in situations.
Right.
And I think that makes total sense. You're in hiding.
Yeah, it's basically like if you mixed Anakin Skywalker and Willow, put that into a person.
Yeah, so I would assume 100% of our listeners know the Anakin Skywalker, and you and I, for some reason,
everyone should know who Willow is.
I think they're remaking it, which is probably terrible.
Who, like Peter Dinklage or something?
I think so.
Oh my god, that's awesome.
But yeah, Willow is a great fantasy movie where he needs to keep a child hidden.
Great.
I love it. I think it's
it is
fantastic. So other things that are on the character sheet and kind of are in this personality thing that we're talking about. We have one of your kind of goals is to keep hidden. We have your flaws that you get frustrated that you can't use magic. Maybe a little angsty about that kind of. Are there things that you would hold as ideals? Like what would be important to you?
I don't know. I mean, like my guy is located in the dredges of this space station. He's like this.
Right. So you live on the first ring.
Yeah, I'm like bottom bucket guy.
And that might not be because of who you are, but what you're afforded, right? Like people are going to treat you differently. You can't be who you really are on the station. So things may have just caused you to end up on this first ring.
Yeah. And I think I'm not really interested in as much in like affluence or, money and financial standing. I'm more interested in, like that power struggle of trying to wanting to be more powerful, but not being able to kind of show that power.
So an ideal or something that might drive you would be this like wanting to be more powerful.
Yeah.
I think that makes total sense. We haven't, I'm going to surprise you with this because we haven't talked about it at all. But do you want a bond with something or someone? Do you want a friendship on the station? And you don't need to get names right now, right? But like, is this something that you would kind of want to do? Is there something that if it impacted somebody or something around you, it would affect you personally? Or
yeah, I have a pet mouse.
Do you have a name for this pet mouse yet?
Biscuit.
Cool. So something, again, because this is a new universe, new scenario that you might not know what the thing is about, having like a real animal would be like a very wanted, even a mouse. So you can choose, you don't have to tell me now, you can choose right when we start recording your first episode, but you will decide if this is like a robotic mouse or like a mouse that could look real, but like inside it's robotics. Or is this a real mouse that, like, if someone found out not only can you use magic, but you also have a pet mouse, like,
oops,
right? Which is totally cool. References from this definitely pulling from Blade Runner, like this idea that in the future, like, animal trade is so rare because we've killed the environment. Like, how did you end up with a mouse in space? Which I'm totally fine with.
Yeah, okay.
It's just something
about that.
something you think about down the road. Could be really cool. So personality traits. I think we've talked a little bit about you kind of being maybe fiery. I don't know if that's like you're thinking by this like frustration that you can't use magic as being your flaw, but like
more brooding.
Okay. Would you say like from Harry Potter, who would be like a character you would see? I'm assuming by the way you're talking about it's like you'd end up in Slytherin, but
yeah, for sure.
Are you a Malfoy?
No, probably be more. I don't know, maybe more because you can't go Voldemort because he's obviously the one who's seeking for power, but like he's ridiculous. So it maybe be like what's his name? I think like Crabbe, but later, or Goyle maybe it was in the later movies.
Would it be kind of like Ron in the Goblet of Fire, where Harry's getting all of this attention and he's put into this big contest, and then Ron is just kind of like in the background angry at him because he's not getting attention or getting the power?
Yeah, I think it'd be like that. But Ron has like a lot more, I think, redeemable values than this guy really does.
Okay, so far. Like maybe we'll get more redeeming values. Okay, and another background thing we talked about briefly is that because you're a magic user, the big magic users are a part of these gangs. And these gangs in this setting are because magic is such an unwanted thing and people have kind of given themselves credit for surviving the destruction of Toril, gods are now kind of outcasts. And the gods' powers, because they're losing worshippers, have now diminished. But there are still these gangs that worship gods. We had talked about this being maybe possibly part of your backstory and maybe a part of your affiliations. Are you still thinking that?
I think that like it would be something that I would be interested in, like if I found out about them. But my guy kind of being hidden and hanging out there, I don't know how much interaction he would have on Lathander's ring. I was looking specifically at Lolth.
Okay, yeah, and I think so. We don't have to decide this right now, but I think because you're in hiding, you're going to still be talking to people who are also in hiding. Okay. And on a space station like Lathander's ring, Lolth would be in the most hiding. Lolth's reputation wouldn't allow them on the space station at all, and if they ended up on a space station, they would need to hide.
Yeah.
So you can decide. I don't think you have to decide right now, but you could be aware that there's a very good chance that you will interact with the gang of Lolth at some point, or you already have.
Okay.
But I'm going to put this into your personality traits in addition to brooding, kind of looking to fit in maybe, or looking for acceptance. Because that's kind of what you were saying with this idea of a gang, is like finding people like you that would accept you for your abilities. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah. I think maybe that would be like a past, not necessarily who I am anymore. Like it's gone from wanting acceptance to not caring about acceptance and just wanting to like prove people wrong. But I mean,
So giving
that
up
could
on
still be part
acceptance.
of it. Starting to, I
Yeah,
guess, or yeah.
I think that makes sense. All right, so I think we've got quite a bit of your backstory. Let's talk a little bit about like what you look like. So being a half elf and being half drow, there'd be like this kind of possibly lighter gray skin. Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah, probably something more like that.
Are you gonna go with the super white hair?
I had gray hair.
You said your age was what?
22.
Okay, rough height. Have you put any thought into that?
That's 6 foot.
Weight? Are you skinny, fat?
Yeah, I had a 165.
Wow, I've never been that thin. And then eyes. I think drow traditionally have like this purplish eye, but what are you thinking?
Well, I feel like that'd be harder to hide.
So being like light gray, everyone's gonna know you're half drow.
All right, didn't do it then.
Purple eyes.
Purple eyes.
But so even if you were a part of this gang of Lolth, because of your mixed blood, you would never be allowed to raise the ranks. You would be the same as a human in the gang of Lolth. So you'd always be a lesser. So I think even if someone saw that you were light gray skinned, half drow, you wouldn't be a threat as much as just like maybe some people would even have pity for you because you really just don't fit in and wouldn't be accepted anywhere.
Yeah, I kill people who have pity for me.
Right. Like they don't know what they're getting into. Have you put any thought into like what you dress like, what you're wearing?
I have like peasanty-esque clothes. Always wear dark clothes, like blacks and dark grays, but living in that bottom ring, you're not really afforded luxuries.
So I'm wearing dark old commoner's clothes. Just nothing fancy. Cool. I think, unless I missed anything, I think that kind of covers your backstory and your appearance. Were there any other things that you wanted to cover that I might have missed?
I think so.
All right. I think then we're going to start just getting your numbers down. So this is the first episode where you actually have much more recent experience making characters than I do. I haven't probably made a character in over a year. So you're going to probably help me because I was helping Zach and Courtney. So let's find your half elf. So if I go to half elf, I believe that's what we're looking at first. I've lost my spacing, but I'll find it. So ability score increase. Your charisma score, I guess before we even do that, do you want to roll? Are you rolling or going to do standard array?
I'm going to roll.
All right. So the way that we're doing this is you roll 4 dice, you take the 3 highest or drop the lowest. If you get 2 8s throughout all 6, you can just start over from scratch.
Okay.
Because we are not playing commoners, right? We're playing heroes, and you don't want to be below average on stuff. So let's get it going.
All right. Well, let me get something to write it down. I got a 15.
It's a good first roll.
That's a good one. Keep them coming, baby. All right, that's an 8.
Okay, so that's your first 8. If you get
that's a 7.
Okay, if you get one more.
Do you re-roll lower than 7s?
You mean re-roll lower than 8s?
Yeah.
Let's come back to it. Let's see. Yeah, I don't want you to have a 7.
That's what I'm saying. I've never done it where you don't re-roll.
Yeah, let's just keep going, and we'll probably come back to it.
9.
Okay. For you especially.
10.
Okay.
10. 8.
Okay, so if we keep your 7 and don't re-roll it, you can choose just to re-roll everything because you got 2 8s or lower.
Yeah, re-roll all day. That's terrible.
That's
like the worst ever.
That's surprisingly bad.
That's terrible.
All right, let's start over.
All right. 12.
Okay.
Um, 8. Not doing so hot.
Today's not your day.
16. There we go.
That's bigger than you would get with standard array ever. So.
Oh no way! 16.
All right.
Oh. 12.
Okay, that's not bad.
Oh, one more.
One more.
Oh, 16 again.
All right. So you got 12, 8, 16, 16, 12, 16.
Just to prove it. There you go.
5, 5. Yeah. No, I believe you. You got all your bad rolls out the first time.
Yeah. Well, start that 8. Bring that 8 home.
And the 8's not bad. 8's just a little bit below average. It makes total sense probably for your strength, right? Like, we'll see. We'll see where you want to put it, but could make sense. So let's start with your 3 top. 16, 16, 16.
Yeah, do a charisma, constitution, and dexterity.
Okay. So then you have 2 12s.
Wisdom, intelligence.
So as I guessed, 8 strength?
Yeah.
So your strength modifier right now is -1, dexterity is 3, constitution is 3, intelligence is 1, wisdom is 1, charisma is 3. It's a good roll.
Not bad.
Okay, so now let's start talking about your half-elf traits. So your charisma scores increased by 2, and 2 other ability scores of your choice increased by 1. So your charisma goes to 18. So we're going to put those other 2 ability scores after you got the 2 into charisma.
I mean, I have even numbers right now, so it won't really matter. I guess I'll put B1 into constitution. And dex, I guess. I don't know. Maybe
Sure.
now. Yeah, whatever. No, actually, no. Sorry, my bad. Put in wisdom.
Cool. So in these like this 13, 17, you can go up when you get, I think it's level 3. You
Something
get
like
a couple more. So these won't always be like that, probably. So you reach adulthood at age of 20. You said you're like 23, right? 22. So you're just now an adult. You can live to 180, so you got quite a bit of life left. Okay, alignment, size, speed. We've talked about, speed is 30 feet, so I'll drop that in. And dark vision goes into your feats, I think. So dark vision, 60 feet, which makes sense, especially for ring 1, because ring 1 is a dim light. So you see in this 60 feet as if bright light.
Right.
You have advantage on saving throws against charmed and magic. That doesn't get marked down. And then
Charmed and magic can put me to sleep.
Sorry, yes. And so skill versatility. We talked about this.
Saving throws against magic.
All magic.
Great. Yeah, it's like whatever.
Skill versatility. We talked about that a little bit because you're going to do alternate rules from Sword Coast Adventures, right?
Yeah, I'm going to take instead of skill versatility, I'm going to take the drow magic. It's a dark elf heritage, so you can select because I'm drow. I get 3 spells, 1 at level 1, which is Dancing Lights. I get Fairy Fire at level 3 and Darkness at level 5.
Dancing Lights is what you get right now?
Yeah.
Okay. And then what at level 3?
Fairy Fire.
Oh, that's one of my favorites. Is that Faerie?
Yeah. Faerie.
Yeah. And then what was it? You said level 5?
But yeah, darkness. And then charisma is the spell casting ability for all those.
Right. Which is good because that's your that's what sorcerer is.
Yeah.
Okay, so I believe, unless you think I'm missing anything, that is all the racial traits and features you get from being a half elf.
Yeah, I believe so.
Cool. So let's talk about sorcerer then. So people can go and read about the sorcerer. We're not going to get into like what the class is so much, but basically you get a magic focus, or what do they call it? Arcane focus, and you can cast spells.
Yeah.
Classic. So let's talk about your hit dice.
You don't have to have a component pouch.
Right.
You can choose to have an arcane focus or a component pouch.
Which isn't for all spells.
What?
Like higher level
arcane
spells.
Focus?
No, yeah, the arcane focus. I'm not sure how that works. We can read it, but
unless it like otherwise says something specifically, I'm pretty sure the arcane focus takes replacement of the components.
Okay.
So I don't know. There's probably I've never played a caster, so I don't know later.
Yeah, and I usually do. So I'll have to go back and just we'll both read it and it'll be fine. But yeah, usually for everything but like super high level spells, we're gonna ignore most of the components. You not being a wizard spells are component heavy, so they're very expensive to run. So let's talk about hit dice. 1d6, which means your first level is 6 plus your constitution. So you're going to start with 9 health.
Sick.
Which is crazy coming from last campaign, which you guys all had like over 40, which still felt low to me, but...
No, I had a lot.
Did you have more?
I had like 80.
Okay, that's
70 something
cool.
or 80.
Then 40 would feel very low. I was just like... So you'll get to roll your 1d6 or take 4 plus your constitution modifier from now on as you level. Okay, proficiencies. You have no armor proficiencies. You have proficiencies with daggers, darts, slings, quarter staffs, light crossbows. So we'll talk about this because we're playing in a future setting. Some of these won't make super sense, but we can adjust them and modify it to be setting approved. All right, skills. Choose 2 from Arcane, Deception, Insight, Intimidation, Persuasion, or Religion to be your proficient skills. No.
Persuasion and Perception.
Yeah, you're choosing to be proficient in those skills, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't say that. Weird. You're doing Arcana and what? Persuasion?
Persuasion and Perception.
Oh, I'm sorry. Perception's not on here. So it's Arcana, Deception, Insight, Intimidation, Persuasion, or Religion.
Yeah, I have to check that because I definitely saw that on something.
Okay, for now we'll give you Arcana, and we can always change
whatever.
it. And I believe that is everything in regards to your class features.
I get a background, a sorcerer background.
I believe you. Where am I looking? Sorcerer Origin?
Yeah.
Cool. So what are you picking for that?
Divine Soul.
Okay. Do you have it in front of you?
Yes. Let's see. It's from Xanathar's Guide.
Okay.
So your link to the Divine allows you to learn spells normally associated with the Cleric class. When your spellcasting feature lets you learn a sorcerer cantrip or sorcerer spell of first level or higher, you can choose a new spell from the Cleric spell list or the sorcerer spell list. You must otherwise obey all restrictions for selecting the spell, and it becomes a sorcerer spell for you.
Cool. So you're getting some healing.
Or not.
What else from Cleric are you thinking?
Well, I took Toll the Dead as a cantrip.
Oh, interesting, because that's not even allowed to most clerics. That's a very specific cleric spell. One of my favorite cantrips, actually.
Yeah, it's like a necromancy thing, right? It just said
Domain
cleric.
of Death. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
What is divine? What was the class or the origin?
Divine Soul.
Divine Soul. Cool.
All
right, so before we deep dive into magic, let's just figure out some of your equipment real quick, because you do get to start with equipment.
Yeah.
So, I'm going to ignore the equipment list here for a second. What do you think you want your character to have? We have a list started of setting specific kind of future stuff, but we could easily modify other things if you wanted. So, like, what equipment are you thinking you want right now?
I just took studded leather.
Okay, and because you don't have a proficiency, that's a medium armor, right?
So that's a light armor.
Is it? Oof. Does it get +1 to your AC?
It's 12 plus my dex modifier.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, I'm being dumb. So your armor class is 15?
Yeah.
All right, so obviously studded leather probably doesn't make sense on a space station. So even though we're going to take the stats from studded leather, what do you kind of armor do you think you'd be wearing that could resemble that in a sci-fi setting? Do you want maybe just like a thick leather? Do you want light?
Well, I guess it wouldn't be leather, right? Because they don't have animals.
Some kind of synthetic leather. Yeah. But that could go into, like, right now you're just wearing commoner's clothes, but now that you're putting on like additional armor, what would this kind of look like as you're walking down the street?
I don't know. I'm thinking like a ripstop, some kind of like thick,
kind of like a bulletproof vest or stab vest type thing. I actually don't know what ripstop is.
Ripstop, like material, like what's the like old tents were made out of? I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Like for thicker, I don't know, something that would
like a canvas almost.
Yeah, sure.
It's like a woven material though. And sure. This is going to be another just kind of like RP. Are you thinking it's like full sleeves or like chest?
Yeah, I'd say I'm probably pretty cold. I probably would try to get something full sleeved.
Okay. So I just wrote thicker canvas, woven, full torso, which we'll know as sleeves. What weapon are you thinking you want, ranged and melee?
I'd probably just have a dagger, and it says I have a light crossbow.
Cool. So I believe I gave you access to the document with the weapons, but I can read them off to you. So for melee, you can use a normal dagger, or you could use a energy dagger, which does a little bit more damage. Has all the same, but it does lightning, 1d6 lightning instead of 1d4 piercing. Would you want that, or do you want more standard normal dagger?
Would I have proficiency in that then?
Mm-hmm. It's like we're going to give it the same. The only difference is that this one would cast light.
Sure.
Okay. So we'll give you an energy dagger. Get that little boost of damage. So for ranged, there's like dart gun, which don't really do damage, but you could do effects like paralyze and poison. There's a flash pistol, which does low damage of light. Then there's normal pistol, the rifle, auto rifle, sawn-off blaster, like a shotgun type thing, a sniper rifle, sonic, railgun, energy, acid launcher, flamethrower, like normal kind of sci-fi game items.
I think it matches a rifle.
Is it 1d4 or 1d6?
1d8.
For the light crossbow?
Yeah.
Really? So that would be, a normal rifle.
Yeah.
Because one light crossbow was less. Maybe I'm thinking of a hand crossbow.
And crossbows 1d6.
Yeah.
That's what Azag had.
Cool. So a rifle. The way we're going to try to do this right now in the setting, right? Everything again is alpha, right? So if we don't think this is fun, we can change it down the road. The rifle is a two-handed weapon. The range is 80 to 200, 80 with advantage or normal, and 200 to disadvantage. And we're going to do bullet magazines. So you get 20 shots before needing to reload. So instead of having to manually reload the crossbow every time, you're going to get 20 shots, but then it's going to take a full action to reload. And then we're just going to track how many cartridges or how many magazines you have on you. But 20 is a lot. I've always played my characters counting arrows, and it very rarely gets in the way. So if we find it not fun, we'll get rid of it. But for now, you get 20 shots, and then eject the magazine, put a new one in. Next round, you can keep shooting. Okay, so you have armor, you've got your ranged, you've got your. Oh, I'm sorry, you don't get a dagger. You get a light crossbow or a simple weapon. Would you want your dagger or your rifle?
It says right there at the bottom, 2 daggers.
Oh, I'm sorry, I am blind.
This guy.
Yeah,
trying
dang,
to
no.
steal my daggers.
Trying to steal your daggers. Okay, components pouch or arcane focus. I think you told me you're going to go with the arcane focus.
Yeah. And
you had some flavor you wanted to add in it?
Yeah, but now I don't think it makes sense with the setting.
Okay. We're going to do arcane focus, question mark, question mark, question mark.
Yeah.
And you're going to be able to decide that whenever you want. I think that's totally fair. Like, we're all learning this setting together. We can make adjustments, and we can even talk later if you want and come up with something special. Then you get to pick a Dungeoneers pack or Explorers pack. I think most people have been picking Dungeoneers, but you can pick whatever you want. And then we just adjust, like rope would be some sort of more synthetic kind of rock climbing rope. Instead of torches, it would be more of a flashlight of your flavor. Food rations would be the same thing, but like more military style.
Gotcha.
So did you pick a pack you wanted?
No.
All right, let's just give you the Dungeoneers pack for now. You can change it if you want, but that gives you, I mean, for the most part, it's the same. The Explorers pack, I believe, and this is just like my terrible memory, I think gives you things like pitons and those kind of like mountaineering things. And the Dungeoneers pack is just more made for dungeons.
Let me see.
And while you were doing that, I'm going to go back over. So, proficiency bonus at level 2 sorcerer is 2. You have no temporary hit points. Saving throws. Where did it say?
Yeah, I take the Explorer pack.
Explore?
Yeah.
Cool. And you've got free reign just to kind of like make sci-fi, make fit setting, all of it. Where does it say which saving throws you would be proficient in? I don't remember.
Constitution and Charisma.
Cool. Do you remember where it said that? Just so listeners can
Class
find
features for sorcerer.
Oh, I see it. Yeah, man. Today's not been good, huh? I am letting it down. So cool. So you've got where's intelligence? So -1 saving throw for strength, 1 for intelligence, 3 for dexterity, 1 for wisdom, 5 for con, 6 for charisma. Does that all look right?
Yes.
Okay. So I believe, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, the last thing we need to do is spells. I'll fill in all the skill
and
numbers.
Languages.
Oh, languages we can do right now because I have a slot. So Elvish, I'm assuming.
Yeah. Well, I get Elven and Common, and then I get 2 more.
Okay, what are you thinking?
Well, it being a new like setting, I didn't really know
Sure.
who's going to be existing.
So
I did one I was thinking Abyssal.
So the one, what's her name? What's her name? Courtney was saying that she was thinking Abyssal. When she said that, what I told her was that knowing Abyssal would be very much like knowing Sith in Star Wars. Like there is some dark connotations with knowing Abyssal. We could write it, you could put it into your storyline, but like, why would you be fluent in a language of demons? Does that make sense? If you get two, I think I would recommend Undercommon for you for one of them. Undercommon is the language of the Drow use. So if you're going to want to interact with the Lolth gang in the future, I think Undercommon makes a lot of sense. We could give you Abyssal, but just know, like, why would you be speaking the language fluently of the demons? You know,
all right, devils. Think about it.
Sure. Yeah, I think Elven, Common, and Undercommon will get you through 80 to 90% of all situations, right? Like, there's every race pretty much on this ship or station and throughout space. But like gnomes know common, right? So maybe they're going to talk around you in gnomish and you won't understand them. But like for the most part, you'll be able to say what you need to say.
Right.
Okay. We don't need any of those type of things right now. So let's start going to magic because this is different. No one else has done this yet. So you get to choose 4 cantrips for the sorcerer.
Yeah.
And do you know what you're thinking those are so far?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna do Toll the Dead, Shocking Grasp, Mage Hand, and Message.
Sorry, I'm typing over a book. It's taking me a little bit. So Toll the Dead, Shocking Grasp, Mage Hand, and what was the last one?
Message.
Cool. I am sure you're aware, but I'm just going to do a reminder and maybe for listeners. So Toll the Dead is very similar to Shatter that Courtney used in the last session, where it does make a very loud noise. So if you're using it and you're trying to be sneaky, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I've used Toll the Dead quite a bit with a grave domain cleric, and it's a loud toll. It won't break off rock and stuff, but it's audible. So if you're in a crevice and try to use Toll the Dead on somebody, it rings, right?
Okay, maybe I have to rethink that.
I mean, character. Toll the Dead is very good.
Yeah, I just don't want it if I'm sneaky.
Yep, and I think
trying to be hidden all the time.
I think Shocking Grasp could be a really good one for that. Toll the Dead will just be your go-to for when you're in a scuff and like you're not trying to hide anymore.
Yeah. Okay.
But so I added a little bit before Zach's episode after the fact, just like kind of a warning. It is expected that this character sheet will change a little bit before you play your first session, right? And there's room for that. This is just like initial thoughts of what are you going to do. Feel free to change this before we do season or episode 1 or session 1. Okay.
I also get a spell from Divine Soul.
A cantrip?
I don't know what it is. Let me check.
Okay. Because Toll the Dead came from Divine Soul, right?
So that became from my ability to pick from the cleric because of Divine Soul. Right. But Divine Soul also gives you a spell at first level.
Do you want me to get Xanathar's Guidebook?
I have the list. I just don't know. I'm gonna pick. I get a pick from Cure Wounds, Inflict Wounds, Bless, Bane, or Protection from Evil and Good. So I'm gonna take Bane.
I was gonna say, if you're looking for another damage, Bane's great. Cool. So you got Toll the Dead, Shocking Grasp, Mage Hand, Message, Bane. These are all the magic, the spells you can cast without rolling the magic die.
Except maybe Bane. I don't know what Bane is.
Bane's a cantrip, though. It
is? Okay.
I think so. Didn't you just say that was a cantrip?
No, I just said that's one of the ones I get. I was a first level enchantment.
Okay, so...
so I skipped the gun.
Don't worry. Those first 4 I said, not Bane. Those are all things that do not require much toll on the weave. So let's talk about first level sorcerer spells. you get to know 2 of these.
Yeah, so I'm going to take Shield and Cure Wounds.
That's cool. So like all of your spells that do require the weave are kind of like healing things.
Yeah.
So far, except for Bane, which you get because of Divine Soul. I also have written down up here. Where did I put it? Dancing Lights. You get that, right? Because of your Drow magic. Is that a level 1 or is that a cantrip?
I don't know.
I think it's a cantrip because I don't think it does anything other than
forgot about it.
I got you. That's why we're here together.
Capture.
I think it's a cantrip though.
Let's see. It's a cantrip, yeah.
Yeah. Because all it does is like light up the room. All right. We were talking about spell slots, but we had a little sidebar because Dan introduced a concept I don't know. We're going to figure that out after this episode. Character creation isn't always simple, especially when you pick a magic user. And I think it's very important that you give players flexibility, but also try to keep it balanced, knowing that the rest of your party can't do things. Right. So Dan's going to figure out his spell slots versus, I think it was called point buy, sorcery point. I don't remember. He's going to figure that out. We'll figure it out together. Dan has some other sorcery things. Like, what was the feature, Dan? Something of the gods?
Favored by the gods.
Yeah, favored by the gods. So there are other things to, if you pick a magic user, you need to remember and learn. It's not a very easy first character, right? If you're doing a first character, playing a fighter or something would be much simpler. But I think sorcerers are fun. It's going to be cool seeing Dan play it because I think this is one of your first sorcerers.
First caster.
Well,
no, I played a druid once for like a day.
Yeah, and druids for being a caster, you can build it that you just do melee damage anyway.
Yeah.
So I think that's where we're going to end it. You'll be able to find Dan's character sheet on dungeonsanddesigners.com under his name in his little player card. So you can see where this ends up after the fact. But until then, I believe this is week 3 of December. So week 4 of December, you're going to get our last episode before we start the campaign, which is just going to be like a little round table talking about the old campaign versus the new campaign and what each player wants from it. So until next week, bye.
Go Bills.
Hey, we're back for one last thing. I totally forgot. Dan, because this is a sci-fi setting, you get a tech item to start out with. Because tech is more important than most currencies, you get to choose, or you don't get to choose, you get to roll for a tech item.
Perfect.
Sorry, listeners, if you've listened to the last 2 episodes, you already were like, where did this go? Can you roll me a D100?
I got 82.
82 gets you a transdimensional lens. Let me tell you what that is.
Is it a monocle?
Okay. Transdimensional lens. This complex device features a lens through which you can view the world with only slightly distorted colors. When activated as your action, you can see phasing out of phase, invisible, ethereal, and transdimensional creatures, objects, and sources of energy within long range. Once activated, the lens functions for 1 day. So it's a single-use item.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Everyone's is. I'm giving you the single-use item block.
Oh, okay.
Just so that we're not making you totally overpowered at level 1.
I can see things. I'm so powerful.
I mean, this makes sense for your spy background.
Yeah.
Is that you've got this device that you can go and see invisible, ethereal, or even out of range things. So I'll give you the text later, but that's the last thing we needed to add. So let's go back to our outro music. Bye again. That's another episode of Dungeons and Designers. Intro music is by Mon Plaisir. Editing and animation was done by me, your friendly DM, Will. Find this and more in the description.